So as we talked about last week, we're going to go ahead and get underway in building our new widget today. And this is the walkthrough of the video scrubber that we shared last week. So we're going to go ahead and name this one Video Scrub Walkthrough. We'll go ahead and click on Start Building the Widget. So as you can see, I'm here in Duda's Widget Builder. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Copilot up here to go ahead and open the AI. So the first prompt that we're going to go ahead and put in here is we're going to just kind of give it its base prompt. Now I've typed these out ready to go so you guys don't have to sit here and watch me type a whole bunch, right? I need a widget that displays a video as a series of still frames on a canvas element. When the page loads, the widget should silently load a video file in the background, extract 60 frames from it. I'm actually going to change this to 120, evenly spaced across the video's duration, and store those frames in memory. While that's happening, show a loading overlay with a spinning circle and a label that says loading frames, a thin progress bar, and a percentage counter. Once all the frames are extracted, fade that overlay out and display the first frame on the canvas. The canvas should be centered in the widget with a black background. If the video fails to load, show an error message in place of the spinner. So basically we're putting in the base for the widget here that just says, hey, give us a widget container on the screen where we can put a video in place, and you're going to take out frames from that video. So we're going to go ahead and feed it that prompt and let it work through that. While it's doing that, I'll tell you what we're going to do next. After it gets kind of the groundwork laid here and has the base of what we're doing, we're going to start giving it some of the behaviors and the settings that we want it to do. So we're going to tell it to add a scroll-driven playback and tell it when the visitor scrolls down while the widget is visible on the screen, we want to be able to advance forward through the frames. When they scroll up, then it goes backwards. The page shouldn't scroll while the user's actively working through the frame sequence. Hijack the scroll until they reach the last frame going down or the first frame going back up. Works on touch and mobile as well, and a thin white progress line at the bottom of the widget to show how far through the sequence the user scrolled. So that's us describing the behavior of the widget that we're going to want it to proceed through, kind of getting really detailed about the scroll hijacking, what happens when a user's going down, what happens when a user's going up, how we don't want the page to scroll, we just want it to move through the frames of the widget. And so that's kind of how you want to work with the widget builders, is you want to be very detailed about the actions that you want it to take. So we can see over here, we've got our base in place. So we're going to go ahead and click on Test in Editor. And there's not going to be a whole lot here. As we can see, it's just a video URL right now, show frame scrubber, and that's it. Because that's just the base that we've told it to use, right? So now we're going to get that second prompt in there that we were just talking about. And what I am going to add is user should be able to upload a video into the widget. And then we're going to tell it a default for scroll distance. Scroll distance, number input default. We're going to put the default at 1200. That's the number that I found works really well. We are going to let it know that when we say 1200, we're referencing pixels. That way it doesn't quite make up anything else. And then we're also going to give it a frame count default of 60, a minimum of 20, maximum of 120. Honestly, most of the time I end up using 120. So yeah, and we're gonna let it know settings that should be in the content tab. So we're letting it know where this should exist. So we're gonna go ahead and feed that over. So what should happen here, and it can be a little bit different You're going to run into different edge cases. What should happen here is the next iteration of this widget, when we open it and we select the content tab, we should be able to upload a video and select it for the widget. We should be able to adjust how many frames it's going to export, and we should be able to adjust how far the user will have to scroll down the screen in order to get through all of those frames. So between that scroll distance and the number of frames is kind of how you smooth out the video scrubber. A lot of people that build one of these widgets using Duda's AI widget builder run into the issue of it being very jumpy. That's pretty normal, right? So the way you work through that is by having settings for the distance and the number of frames. Increase your frames, you get a smoother scroll, but it does take a little longer to load the widget. That's kind of the trade-off, because what it's doing is it's exporting or taking your video and cutting it up into that many frames. So if we go to 120, it's taking the video and it's cutting that short 8-second video into 120 frames in order to be able to go through them. So it makes for a super smooth scrolling effect, but it does take it a second to load on the page load. So that's kind of the trade-off. If you want it to load faster, it's not going to run as smooth. So just be aware of that. Failed to load video. That's because we don't have one. Perfect. We've got our video loader here. So we're going to go ahead and upload a video. I've got this one here, so we'll just go ahead and use it. It's not a final polished video, but that's okay. For these purposes, it's a great length to demo and work with. We can see over here, we do have our scroll distance and our frame count set up. So those settings made it in as well. And we can see our video has loaded. Our scroll distance, we're going to go ahead and up our frame count. And we're going to bring down our size here a little bit because we don't need it that big. And there we go. So you can see we've got the basic function of what we want it to do here. Scrolls up, scrolls down. That's working great. And then we can see a little bit that it starts to scroll the page. So those are working well. Let's see what we've got currently in our design tabs. So we've got just the loading overlay, scrubber background. So not a whole lot going on over there. So we're actually going to jump back over here and we're going to add in some polish and how to handle a few things, right? Go ahead and get our next prompt in here. What I'm telling it is let's add 4 edge fade controls to the setting panel. Top fade, bottom fade, left fade, right fade, each slider from 0 to 50. They create a soft transparency fade on each edge of the video so that it can blend into the page background. All 4 default to 0, no fade. So the purpose here is to kind of eliminate the video box, right, that you're kind of used to seeing on websites. So this is going to be more of a, you fade it into the background of your web page so it all kind of looks unified as one single thing. Handle edge cases cleanly. If the widget is used more than once on the same page with the same video, only load and extract frames once, share them between instances. Start frame extraction immediately when the page loads. This isn't perfect on Duda. It's kind of the way that their pages are written, but it helps it load faster if you're using it further down the page. And basically, if you're using the same widget with the same video on the same page, there's no reason to have to load both of them and go through all of that time. You can load it once and have them share. So these are what we're going to tell it to implement for us now so that we can hopefully get a little bit cleaner look, a little bit more polish on our widget here. We've got our base system set up. We've got it performing the task that we want it to do. And so now this is really the final polish about being able to display it in the manner that we want to display it in. And those are kind of the steps I go through for every widget. Get your base in, present what you want, then get your function working. Once you have your function working, now you get to dress it up, get your settings in that are all visual stuff so that it looks and handles exactly how you want it to. So we're on our last step here. As you can see, it hasn't been incredibly difficult to set up, but let's see if we run into any issues here on this last part. So here we can see everything that was added and improved. Frame extraction starts the moment the page loads. If the same video is in multiple places on the page, use one instance. 4 soft gradient fades. All scroll listeners, touch handlers, and hidden extraction video are fully cleaned up and removed from the page when the visitor leaves. So let's go ahead and test and see what we've gotten. So it's loaded up, and we've got to put our video in there again. And we're going to go ahead and bump our frame count up, adjust our video size down. So we can see it loaded a lot quicker there. Our scrubbing is still working. So let's go and have a look at our edge fades. And we can see all our edge fades are currently fading to black, which would be great on a dark screen, but right now that's not what we have. But we do have our canvas setting down here. This should allow us to change that, and it's not. So we're going to come back over here and let it know the edge fades are hard set to black. We need it to blend to any background color. The purpose of it is to match the video and make it look embedded. Without the box edges. So we're going to go ahead and give it that. And we can see it currently always paints in that variable, which defaults to black. So the fix is to read the actual widget background color and runtime and use that gradient. And so it's identified the proper problem. Now it's putting that fix in place for us. All right, so it's made that change. Let's go ahead and see what it came up with over in our editor. Now every time it makes that change and we reload, we do have to come over here, pop the video in. This is the way I like to work. I'm going to go ahead and change our canvas background to white. Now we can see our edge fades are working in white. But you can see how that starts to kind of create that embedded in all part of the page. If I had my colors matched up correctly, this would look like it's worked into the page and not necessarily a video box that's sitting there, right? So just remember kind of the three steps when you're building a widget out using the AI widget builder. It's always going to be get your base structure in place. That's going to be that first step that we went through, kind of real generic overview of what the widget's going to be. Let it spin that up. The next one is going to be the behavior that you want that widget to perform and some of the settings that you want it to have, so that you can go in and actually put in media or text or whatever it is you're setting up and see the behavior that you want it to take actually start to occur. Here it was the scroll hijacking with the video. It could be an infinite scroll bar. It could be stacking cards. Whatever the case may be, make sure that behavior is starting to go. That's the second step. And then in the last step, that's going to be your polish and handling some of your edge cases, right? Where you visually get it where you want it to look at and get it to run in a optimum fashion.